I mean, seriously, I told her, I said, I'm promising everybody short speeches. Just say my name. You never listen to me. But let's get to it, because I said it would be short. The world has changed since last we met. I think our last RA was what, 413 years ago? You know, doesn't it seem like a lifetime has gone by in the last few months? And we are going to need to talk about it. We've got to fiercely look into the face of our current reality and a White House that believes in alternative facts. There are corporate billionaires who, for their own profit, have tried to dismantle environmental protections, consumer protections, worker rights, civil rights, the right of every blessed child to have a quality public education, and those same corporate billionaires and their cronies are now the cabinet secretaries of the departments that they vowed to destroy. We have a president who resides at the dangerous intersection of arrogance and ignorance and travels with a moral compass that always points to his own self-interest. It was not in anyone else's interest, not in the interest of school children, certainly, that he nominated a woman who had never worked in, volunteered in, ever stepped foot in a public school until he chose her to be his Secretary of Education. He chose a billionaire, the queen of for-profit privatization of public education, Betsy DeVos. And were you quiet about it? Oh, I think not. We asked you to act, to make some noise, to get on the phone, to email your senators, to tell them what you thought of this nominee. You know, when we do that, we're usually really, really happy. If we can get you to send 100,000 messages, you sent 1.5 million. And we were able to move some critical Republican senators over to the side that voted against her. And she failed to win a majority of the Senate that she needed for confirmation. Because you have to have a majority. We forced the vice president, for the first time ever on a cabinet nomination, to have to schlep up to the Capitol and break that tie. You did that. That is not a small thing. And I do want to tell you that I got an invitation to meet with Betsy DeVos. And I responded to that invitation. I wrote back and I said, before I will talk about meeting with you, I need to hear from you the answers to the questions that you refuse to answer at your Senate confirmation hearing. And I made it super duper easy. They were all true false. It's a yes and a no. Nice standardized. Will you hold voucher and charter schools that receive public dollars to the same standards of financial transparency as public schools? Yes or no? Will you agree never to privatize federal programs like special education or funding for kids who live in poverty? Yes or no? Will you protect all our blessed students from discrimination? Our students of color, our English language learners, our immigrant students, our Muslim students, our little girls, our LGBT students? Yes or no? And I will tell you her answer. just as soon as she gets back to me. But in a profoundly disturbing way, we've already received those answers, haven't we? One of the first acts of the Trump-DeVos administration was to rescind that letter from the Office of Civil Rights, that letter that the Obama administration sent to school districts everywhere, clearly stating that they would be held legally responsible for protecting our transgendered students from discrimination. This administration gave a green light to the despicable, intentional, institutional humiliation of a vulnerable population of students. So her answer is no. No, she will not protect all our students. Now let me tell you, for me this is not partisan. I'm from Utah. When I leave my state, the Democratic Party doesn't have a quorum, okay? I have worked and played well with Republican legislators, Republican governors. I know how to find common ground with people who will never agree with me on lots and lots of things that are really important to me. But I can always find something that will bring us together, because whether or not we're Democrats or Republicans or some other party, we might disagree on how to get there, but I gotta tell you, it has been my experience that most people really want something good for kids. They want something good for their communities and those families, even if they might have bad ideas about how to do it. They don't have bad intentions. I get that. I get that we need to find ways to use our influence wherever we can, and I need to say that because there have been lots of people I know, people I love, people who've given birth to me, people in this room who've pulled me aside and told me in very patient, respectful ways, most of the time, that, even if all I just said about this president and this Secretary of Education were true, that the election is over and we must find ways to cooperate with this administration. So let me tell you as clearly as I possibly can, so that even if you disagree with me, you will understand what's in my heart. I will not allow the National Education Association to be used by Donald Trump or by Betsy DeVos. I do not trust their motives. I do not believe their alternative facts. I see no reason to assume they will do what is in our students' best interest or their families. There will be no photo op. We will find common ground with many Republicans and many Democrats on many issues. We will not find common ground with an administration that is cruel and callous to our children, to their families. And I do not judge them by their words. I judge them by their actions. By their works shall ye know them. Look at their budget. Now there's a piece of work. I have 10 billion reasons not to trust them. One reason for every dollar they cut from programs that lifted up our struggling students, cuts to after-school programs, cuts to special education, cuts to student loans. I wouldn't be here without a student loan. Cuts to college work-study, Head Start, historically black colleges, American Indian education programs, community schools, magnet schools, gifted programs, arts programs, all cut. Cut to children's health care. Cuts to food for hungry families. But what did they increase? What did they increase using the money they cut from children? A brand new, shiny, private school voucher program for schools that are allowed to discriminate and overpromise and underdeliver and not be held accountable as they take away public school dollars and put it in private pockets. I was venting to my nice neighbor. She doesn't like sit on her front porch anymore because I keep coming over and she said, Lily, I agree with you. This is bad. It's really bad. But don't worry. I don't believe he really means it. I think this is just a place where he's going to start bargaining. Maya Angelou said, when someone shows you who they are, why don't you believe them? I believe them. I know who Donald Trump and Betsy DeVos are. They show us every day. Why don't we believe them? They show us every time we watch the news. By the way, how many of you can hardly stand to watch the news anymore? Good Lord, I stopped turning on the TV news, which is ironic because that was how I began every day with my sixth graders. We'd have current events, and every morning my kids could get extra credit if they reported on an article in the newspaper. Remember news? Remember paper? And they had to summarize it, they had to explain it, they had to give an opinion. And then the class had to give their own opinions. They got to ask their own questions. In my class, you got a jelly bean for a good answer. You got 2 jelly beans for a good question. And all my kids had cavities. I want that on my teacher evaluation. But my kids knew what would get them 3 jelly beans. Sooner or later, some little hand would go up. So you think we should do something about it? There's a blood shortage in Salt Lake City. Should we put on a blood drive? Yes. There's a nice man named Barney Clark. He's in the hospital. He's receiving the first artificial heart, and he's at the University of Utah Medical Center. Should we send him little valentines shaped like actual human hearts with right and left ventricles? Yes, but that was a little creepy, I gotta tell you. There are cars illegally parked in the handicapped parking spaces. Should we throw rotten eggs at them? No, we should not. We definitely should. Sometimes the answer is no. Mostly the answer was yeah. Yeah, we should do something about it. In this room, right here, right now, we are so many things. We are Democrats and Republicans and independents. We are bus drivers and teachers and secretaries and adjunct faculty and public service employees. We're librarians and nurses and college students and retired educators. We're young and old and gay and straight and men and women of every race, religion, ethnicity. I know guests who have entered into this hall, and they are always amazed. As diverse as we are, we still manage to debate and disagree and decide and respect and even still love each other when it's all over. I have to explain to them what brings us together. We come into this room unafraid to face the brutal reality of what's outside this room. We never kid ourselves, but we listen to each other. We form those opinions. We ask a lot of questions. And the most important one is, what are we going to do about it? Now, I know you don't wait for the NEA Representative Assembly each year to act. Not all the fights are in Congress. Back home, all year long, you've been using the power of our collective voice to fight and to win. Arkansas, Colorado, Maine, Minnesota, Nebraska, Nevada, Tennessee, Texas, Virginia. You fought back vouchers from your state capitals this year. You won. When a governor in Georgia pushed a ballot initiative to give the state power to take over those local schools, the Georgia Association of Educators led that fight, and the public said no thank you to that governor. You won. in ruby red, South Dakota, the mighty South Dakota Education Association, did the impossible. They brought Republicans and Democrats together to do a good thing, to raise the needed revenue, to get more money to their starved public schools, and they won. Give it up for South Dakota. And right here in the great state of Massachusetts, the amazing MTA, with an amazing coalition of true believers in public education, you fought back an initiative on unaccountable charter expansion, and you won. Now, I could go on and on and on and on about what you're doing in every single state, every single local affiliate in this room, but I promised you a short speech. So I want to leave you with this. We can win. We have power. And they know it. So we stand in a dangerous place. We stand between a profiteer and his profit. They're going to hit us with everything they've got because we are a threat to them. They will take away your freedom to organize if they can. They will try and take away your freedom to negotiate with a collective voice. They will try and silence us because they got big plans for the whole community. And when we win, the entire community wins. Working people who don't even have access to a union win because we're there to fight for their kids' schools and affordable college and affordable health care and their Social Security and Medicare and for a living wage and the ability to support our families. So they have to try and stop us. Our opponents know that a lot of us are retiring. And so they have plans to pour those alternative facts into the ears of a new generation of educators and a new generation of people coming into public service. And they're going to fill them with lies about who we are. But they won't succeed because we know in our bones who we are. And we will tell every new colleague the truth about who we are. We are the members of the National Education Association. We are the voice of education professionals. Our work is fundamental to this nation, and we accept the profound trust that is placed in us. This is not a drill. We will be fearless. We will be strong. We will focus on growing even stronger and defending our students, our families, our communities, our country. We know who we are, and we know the power of our mission. That we welcome every blessed child, no matter what shape they come, no matter the color of their skin, no matter the language they speak, no matter where they find God. We take them all. We love them all. We give this world the mothers and the fathers and the thinkers and the builders and the artists and the dreamers. We give this world the American dream. We give this world the future. Hermanos, hermanas, esa es la democracia. This is what democracy looks like in the house of the NEA. Be fearless, be proud, be warriors. Ya es tiempo. Go, fight, win.